Okay, now as you can see, we've got it pretty well in there. You see the headlight coming, you see the wire coming off the headlight, and it's the wiring is now been roughed in. You see the battery holder in there, everything's roughed in. Now we're ready to start doing some wiring. Actual wiring is not a difficult thing, but does involve soldering, so you got to learn to be a little safe with that because you're dealing with a lot of heat. The first thing I'm going to do now, or the next thing I'm going to do, is I've got to get the switch in. And I'm using a little different switch. Usually I use a toggle switch, but I'm using a slide switch now. Either way, it's still going to go in to the back end here, and it's going to work right out the back door, if you will. So I've got to take and do some cutting on that back door to make a hole for the switch. Now you got to remember, you got to make this to where it sits high enough that it doesn't interfere with the frame. Remember, the frame's still got to go back in here. Almost makes me wish I still dealing with a toggle switch, but I can't find my toggle switches at the moment. Anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a cutoff wheel, and I'm going to, cut out parts of the door, and then I'll have to come back in with a knife and do the cross cuts. But I can get the long cuts, of the door without having to do a lot of damage here to the shell. Okay, we got that much of it done. This is the scarier part because this is where you're doing the actual body modifications, and one slip up and you could really mess up a really nice body. We're trying to make this thing as hidden as humanly possible here. There we go. Now we just finished carving it out. Somebody had actually foolishly put window glass back there. Alrighty. Get her big enough now. Hole's wide enough, just not quite tall enough. Story of my life, huh? Alrighty. There we go. I gotta get a little bit more out of it. Tools have a tendency to get up and walk off when I least expect it, don't they? Don't want to do that. That was a little close to the old hand, you know. But you You got to carve a little bit here and a little bit there. It's all a matter of you get to it when you get to it, right? I might add that X-Acto blades and X-Acto knives, while wonderful tools, can also be dangerous. So I would be remiss in my duties if I did not remind you of the dangers of misusing these tools. Okay. Let's see if we can get this down the bottom. And no, once you got all the wiring done in here, it will not interfere with the frame, at least not for the most part. There we go. Okay, we got the switch in there. When I've got it all together, a good chunk of this manual switch here, which will go back and forth or up and down, will be cut off. You just use a screwdriver or a probe or something, you'll stick between the units and turn it on or off. Very simple process. It's the simplest thing in the world to work on one of these. Alrighty. Okay, what you're going to need for this soldering operation is solder, a soldering iron, and a light and easy touch. One of the things you don't want to do, of course, is end up with too much heat in there to actually cause damage to the switch, or where the heat will travel up the wire and end up causing damage to the light bulb or any other part of the circuit. Very simple operation here. Let's get your iron good and hot. And then all you gotta do is basically touch the solder to the thing, get it good and hot just for a few seconds, and it's soldered on. And you will also want to avoid touching your body shell with a hot soldering iron. Now I did cut the other battery wire just a little bit short, and as a result of that, I'm going to have to mount it from the inside, which is going to be a trick in and of itself. The final step to that procedure is put the battery in and test it. So, and it looks like it's working to me. We've got a headlight, and it don't look too bad. By the way, I wanted to mention, if I didn't mention it before, use a 1.5 volt headlight bulb, because the battery is only 1.5 volts. And, of course, you only need a small switch. You don't need a humongous switch. Okay, we got that much of it done. Alright, next order of business, the side grills.